What's up, you guys? Slim here, Team Symmetry, here with my next installment, I guess, of Slim Psychology, Slimcology, whatever crazy name you guys want to give to it. I want to thank everyone first for, all the positive feedback I got on my first attempt at psychology, which was my first installment that I called, fuck it, going for game. And, I had to present it with Rescue Rabbit since that was the only deck I had on me at the time. But I looked at all the comments, I got a couple inbox messages, and, with all the positive feedback, everyone wanted me to really do one on Dark World as well as many other decks. So I'm here to do Dark World today. And just give you guys, some basic stuff with Dark World and just, a lot of key combos, and I think particularly how to really use these cards to your advantage when playing, because this is a very, very, very powerful deck, and if played properly, it's almost an instant win almost every time you play if you know what you're doing and if you know how to get the combos off correctly. So I'm just going to start with something very basic. I just want to get this out of the way. You can run Tour Guide, you cannot run Tour Guide. It's, player preference. I know a lot of people don't like to run Tour Guide in the deck. A lot of people do love to run Tour Guide in the deck. I personally run Tour Guide in the deck. Tour Guide is very self-explanatory. You summon Tour Guide, you get Brow. You're either going to bounce for Grappa if it's in grave, or you're going to exceed to Zen mains, exceed to whatever, yada yada yada, self-explanatory. So I know people don't want to hear about Tour Guide. I don't blame you. I'm going to put the Tour Guides away, and we're not going to talk about them for the rest of the video. So back onto more of the main stuff, which is Dark World. It's very, very simple. Grappa is your best monster. Grappa is broken, 2700, basically summonable at pretty much every time you go for your turn. It's a great card. It's key to winning. It's just a great card in general. And I've highlighted, of course, very simple. Your basic Dark World. You have your 3 Brow, your 3 Snow, your 1 Beige. I run 1 Beige. Some people run 2. Player preference. Of course, your Gates. Gates is one of the best field cards. It just nets you +1 pretty much every turn. Very self-explanatory stuff. This is stuff I'm sure a lot of you guys know. I love running 3 Dark World Dealings. This card, which I'm going to get into mostly, is amazing. Like, this is one of the best cards in the deck, in my personal opinion. And the reason being is because how you play it is key to winning the game. A lot of combos that I will do with this, especially one of my favorite combos to do, is using this with Snow, because you already know you're going to drop the dealings, you're going to draw, you're going to discard. And what I like to do, believe it or not, is I like to loop through my Dark World Dealings. Snow searches dealings, you repeat, rinse and repeat, you're thinning the deck, you're drawing to what you need, you're searching, and it's a great combo, and eventually you will either go, to Gates of the Dark World, Grappa, whatever you need to get to take advantage of the game at that particular point. Very self-explanatory, very easy to do, and it's just great. Why is this deck so good against Rabbit? I think this is one of the main reasons why. Dark World Dealings is broken. Usually when you play this, the smart Rabbit player, or pretty much any Rabbit player, will probably be in fear that you might have Grappa and will negate this instantly. So you could drop through 1, you can end up playing another one if you run 2 or 3, depending on player preference, and all you do is Dealings, drop Grappa, and Laggy is gone. It's a really good combo, and I think this card is just really, something else. I've always believed that it only takes dealings to start the madness, which is Dark World, and on a lot of my testing, and in the testing that my friends who have built the deck can tell you, this card is like your ace. It's amazing, and I really, I can't stress it enough and how great the combos work with it. A lot of this is self-explanatory, like I said. When you get into the player's mind, basically, they're going to be afraid of Grappa. Grappa's a big monster. With the field, he's 3,000. I mean, that's a lot to deal with, and it's things like that can really, mess with the player's head, because this card's very hard to get over. Like, you can smash it. Okay, I'm just going to bounce and bring it back. You can, if you're not maining Deep Prison, which a lot of people are not, this card's not really going anywhere. This card is floating forever, pretty much, in the graveyard, and is just going to come back each turn. Another one of the MVPs, I think, in Dark World, honestly, is Beige. Beige is broken, and the reason why I say this is because, aside from being able to normal and bounce for Grappa, with Gates of the Dark World, it is ridiculous. You already know. Drop it, you draw 1, you bounce for Grappa. It specials, you bounce for Grappa. Amazing. The combo is just ridiculous. It's broken. Same with Dark World Dealings. Same combo ensues. You Dark World Dealings, you drop this, bounce for Grappa. Self-explanatory, but absolutely amazing. And, you know, it's a lot of the cards I like to highlight are, of course, you know, these two. Graph is, of course, always great. The combo with Snow is always great. I love using Brow. The way I use Brow, if it's not, you know, of course, I'll do it with Tour Guide, but I prefer to have Brow in my hand, have a, you know, maybe even a Tour Guide in the grave, a Snow engrave, whatever engrave. Use the field card, make it your Pot of Greed. It's amazing. All these cards are just amazing in the deck. And I think it's just combos like this that make the deck really good and a really just viable option right now. You know, a lot of people are going to, you know, you already know are going to side Macrocosmos, Shadow Imprisoning. That's why you side your MSTs. That's why you side Royal Decree. Whatever you need to stop those cards and just to get your combos off. And I seriously believe that it only takes a Dark World Dealings or a single discard outlet to do that. So it's really great. Other highlights I want to just touch upon are, of course, what I call your Trap Dust Shoots. Your Trap Dust Shoots, your Mind Crush. Trap Dust Shoot is gone. We already know that. Drag Down is your new Trap Dust Shoot. It's like having 3 of them. It's broken. Combo with Mind Crush, you already know you're going to have advantage, you know, from the get-go. Being able to drag down, I think, turn 1 is amazing because then you know what's in your opponent's hand. If you can combo with Mind Crush, it's broken. And, you know, just take away all your opponent's answers and they really can't come back. And a big combo that I love, one of my probably favorite combos of the deck, is Deck Dev and Mind Crush. Even more so than the drag down. I love this because there are a lot of decks that run, you know, little monsters, and if you have a Grapha on board or you have a Snow on board, with the field, you know, you can do flip this, see what's in your opponent's hand, flip this. You've taken away so many of their options that it's really hard for them to come back unless, you know, they're really lucky and, you know, they draw nutty. I mean, you know, self-explanatory. And, you know, just like some other things, a big thing to stress is knowing when to Reckless. A lot of people sometimes flip this card haphazardly, and they suffer because of it. The only flaw I've ever seen in Dark World is getting locked under Reckless with no possible play for the next 2 turns, and then you probably will lose. Not being able to make a play for like 2 turns kind of sucks. So knowing when to flip this card is key. Being able to flip them in multiples is great. Waiting to flip this card is also key. And I think that's just something, you know, that, like I said, in a lot of these cards is like self-explanatory. You know, you should know when to flip this because when you're like backed into a wall, you know, you just flip this card and hopefully it'll bring you an out. Most of the time it does. If it doesn't, hopefully you have another one to combo with it or you have another discard outlet to search your deck. That's why Dark World is so versatile. I love the ability of being able to go through most of my deck, get to my answers and stop my opponent and take away all their answers in the process and then being able to stop my opponent from there. Great deck, and this card just really adds to that consistency and to that, I guess, brutality that really is Dark World. So that's another thing. Obviously broken. Just know when to use it. Some people will do it on one card. I like having multiple cards. I love having it with Beige. I love having it with Snow. I really don't like having it with Brow that much, to be honest. Like, I want Brow to be used with Gates of the Dark World for the Pot of Greed effect. So I mean, that's just one thing. That's just a player preference, I guess, of mine. I guess there's other cards to highlight. Very simple. Foolish Burial. You always Foolish Grapha, or you, if you need be, you Foolish a Dark World to remove for the field, but most of the time you're not going to do that. You want a Foolish Graph and get Graph on board as soon as possible, and that's what this card does. It's amazing. Very, you know, self-explanatory. And then the last 3 I'm going to highlight are the big 3. They're all included in Dark World for a very simple reason. Heavy Storm is, you know, most of the time your stuff that you said is chainable aside from the field. Use up the field, you know, Heavy Storm, you know, if you have, most of the time you have Reckless or Deck Dev, something you can chain. So Heavy Storm is never really a minus, in my opinion. I've never seen it to be a minus unless, like, you really have no choice, but, I mean, it's really good, obviously. Monster Reborn, this is very simple. Don't ever Reborn Grapha unless that's like your only option. Reborn a Dark World, bounce for Grapha if Grapha's engraved. Very self-explanatory. And Dark Hole is not a bad card in this deck because a lot of the time your field presence really isn't that big unless you're going for game. And, you know, you Dark Hole, it can, and, you know, you Dark Hole, you know, summon, bounce for Grapha. Grapha can be the end of the game, and that's it. You know, very just basic stuff. And I guess, like, the whole point of this video was getting to let you guys know into a little bit of my thinking when playing Dark World. It's probably exactly the same as a lot of people, but people wanted me to talk about Dark World and what I honestly think. I think it's a very, very, very good deck, this format. And, you know, as it was shown in Long Beach, it had the power to win and to, you know, take down Rabbit. How you build it is your own player preference. What I highly suggest is please try multiple copies of Dark World Dealings. This card is just amazing, and I'd be very surprised if you don't like it, because this card is just, it's off the charts amazing. I've always, like I've said before, I've always believed that if you can draw Dark World Dealings, that's pretty much all you need to start your combos off. So that's pretty much it, you guys. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys like this one. This was my next thing, and this is just basically all on Dark World, how to play with Dark World, and the mindset of how to take down your opponent when playing Dark World. The key thing to remember is by knowing what's in their hand, you know their plays, and you know, being the good players that I know a lot of you are, you'll be able to take away all their options and use that to your advantage and go for game. It can be with graphing, it can be with anything, but this deck is just something else, and that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys like this. You know, please comment below, please criticize. I always am open to criticism because I'm always trying to make my videos better. Hope you guys like this, and hopefully I can continue with more of this segment. That's all I got to say, you guys. Thank you for watching.